Puzder is the CEO of CKE Restaurants, parent company to Carl Jr. and Hardee's Restaurants. He's been very public for months now about how the healthcare overhaul was making life more challenging for his business and his workers. Good evening, sir. Good to have you here tonight.
Hi, Martha. Good to be here.
Thank you. So what's your take on this? Because the White House is pushing back on this. The White House is basically saying that that ultimately, due to lower costs that will happen, they say healthcare costs will ultimately go down, that will free up money for companies across the country, and they're going to add 250 to 400,000 jobs as a result of it over the next several years.
Well, let's say that the administration's predictions on this law haven't exactly been accurate across the board, and I think that particular prediction is terrible. Look, this law, what's happened is what happened today with the CBO report is it just verifies what millions of Americans have been experiencing. This is a bad law. It's a job killer. It's bad for the economy. It's reducing the number of hours people can work. It's reducing wages. It's the wrong law at the wrong time. Not that it wasn't well intended. Healthcare is something we need to address. It's just the wrong way to do it. The amazing thing to me about the CBO report was that when Obamacare was passed, we were told it was for the helpless. It was for people that needed health insurance, didn't have access to it through their job, weren't able to afford it. And I think a lot of people were very sympathetic to that.
Sure.
It's hard not to be. I'm included. Sure. However, what we heard today was that people who have jobs, who just want to work less, either they want to spend time with their families or they want to do hobby. The CBO guy actually said they can pursue their hobbies, and Jay Carney kind of reinforced that. Well, we're now going to be paying for these people who did have jobs and who worked hours and paid income taxes when they worked those jobs and payroll taxes that help pay for benefits like Obamacare. We're no longer going to be getting that tax revenue. These are people that could work. They choose not to, so they can, I don't know what they're going to do, write cowboy poetry or play golf or macrame.
Nancy Pelosi said,
yeah.
All the things you always wanted to do, except you'll have a lot less money because you won't be working the hours that you used to work. Another thing that really struck me from this report is the projection that in 10 years, 31 million people will not have health insurance. They won't be insured. And the whole thing started because they wanted to cover 48 million. So all of this disruption for 17 million people. Do you think as a businessman that there was a more effective, easier, cleaner way to cover 17 million people?
There's many more effective ways. Nobody thought Obamacare was going to be passed in its current form. It passed the Senate, and I'm sure you remember Scott Brown won the Senate race, and all of a sudden the House had to pass a bill without committee hearings that wasn't vetted, that was incredibly lengthy and wasn't particularly well drafted. That had to be the law, or they weren't going to get a law. So nobody thought this law was actually going to be passed, and Nancy Pelosi very famously said we have to wait to pass it to see what's in it. Well, you didn't have to wait. I mean, I think most people knew that this was going to be a law that would be very difficult to implement. They've had a very difficult time enforcing it. The president has to keep changing it. And the expense, by the way, of these people who are going to pursue their hobbies is all going to fall on the middle class. And we hear a lot from Democrats in particular about how they want to protect the middle class, but we keep seeing policies like this coming forward that really hurt them. I was astounded today listening to Democrats and the CBO testimony in the administration about how a party that is so politically adept could be so economically inept. And they just have to face reality on this. This is a bad law. It doesn't work. Let's change it. Let's get something that does work. There's plenty of proposals out there. Let's get some bipartisanship going here. Get something passed that the American people can live with and that doesn't hurt them.
Andy Puzder, you speak from business experience. And, sir, we thank you very much for being here tonight.